This story unfolds in the beautiful Italian city of Cosenza. Antonella, a strikingly beautiful girl who recently turned 14, was strong and independent, living with her elderly grandmother. Tragically, she lost her parents in a car accident at a young age, but her grandmother kindly took her in and raised her as best as she could. Fortunately, having raised 3 daughters before, her grandmother was well equipped to care for Antonella. While many children might have struggled with the trauma of losing their parents, Antonella adjusted remarkably well. She was a quiet, polite, and conscientious child, gradually blossoming into a friendly and kind-hearted young woman. The community where Antonella lived was close-knit and welcoming, surrounded by dense forests that added to its natural beauty. However, despite the forest's allure, the residents of Cosenza tended to steer clear of it due to the presence of wild and dangerous animals. There were chilling tales of people who ventured into the woods and never returned, and all the city's children, including Antonella, were warned never to stray into such wild places. Yet something inexplicable drew Antonella to the forest. She loved sitting there, observing the untamed beauty of nature. Her uncle even built her a treehouse on the outskirts of the city, offering a fantastic view of the treetops. Her grandmother frequently cautioned her about the dangers lurking in the woods, often expressing concern that Antonella might wander too far. Still, Antonella was sensible and knew better than to disregard her grandmother's warnings. One day, after school, she decided to take a walk along the path that bordered the very edge of the city, where it merged with the forest. It was a quiet and rarely visited path, but Antonella enjoyed the silence and loved to watch how squirrels jump and play in the trees. But suddenly, not far from the forest, a loud sound was heard. Blood-curdling howl. Forest. I realized it was a wolf and ran so fast as soon as I could to my safety home. But something stopped her, some kind of curiosity or interest. In fact, the howl didn't sound so scary, and Antonella began to worry that the animal may be in pain or in danger. Perhaps if she had gone into the forest too far, she would be able to reveal the secret and, perhaps, help the animal. She began to carefully make her way to the trees, and just a few moments later, I saw Animal lying on the ground somewhere ahead on clearing. As Antonella came closer, she realized that it was a wolf, and the blood froze in her veins. She knew that wolves were dangerous and vicious, and they could. It would be easy to kill her if she wanted, but something caught her attention, which prevented her from turning back. 2 wolf cubs. They gathered around their mother, with whom some kind of fight clearly occurred. There were wounds on her body, apparently from a fight with other, larger animals. She protected her own children, and it seemed that the mother wolf was about to die. Gradually, the mother stopped breathing, and the frightened cubs were left alone. Antonella slowly came closer. Much to her relief, the cubs did not seem afraid. Maybe they knew she didn't mean them harm. There, rummaging through her bag, she pulled out some food and threw it to the cubs. They rushed for food and gladly ate what I prepared, kind stranger. While the kids were eating, Antonella came up and put her hand on the head of the dead wolf and silently vowed to protect her wolf cubs, promising bring them food as often as he can. But Antonella couldn't take the puppies with her home. Not only would they find themselves far from their natural habitat, but also grandmother Antonella would know that she disobeyed her order. However, she was worried that with the help of the mother, the cubs will surely die. That's why Antonella came up with a plan. She'll take them back to his treehouse and will keep it there. They would be safe there, and she could easily look after them. Antonella even gave them names Romulus and Remus. So she took the cubs back to the treehouse and played with them all evening. They were happy and energetic, and seemed to liked her company. Then she came back home and brought them food. Antonella did this every day, watching how the wolf cubs gradually become stronger and larger. So lasted several months, and Antonella. I considered these beautiful animals my friends. Contrary to what she was always led to believe, the wolves were friendly and sociable. They enjoyed Antonella's company and even began to behave more like dogs than like wolves. They wagged their tails when they saw that she was approaching, yelped, and rolled on the floor after she fed them their favorite foods. It was truly a partnership concluded on heaven. One day, when Antonella was heading to Treehouse, she suddenly felt that some men were following her. When she walked faster, the men began to run, until Antonella began to run away from them. Obviously, these people had bad intentions, just before she caught up with her. However, at the treehouse, the men caught up with Antonella. They threatened her with a knife and dragged her into the forest, where they were able to carry out their insidious plan. The men took her deep into the forest, where they threw him on the ground. A young woman stood, I was on my knees in front of them, and was scared to death. Antonella couldn't help thinking that the worst is about to happen, and tears filled her eyes as she thought about what will happen to her, and whether she will ever see again my grandmother and my home. But first, before the men had time to do anything, a distant howl was heard in the forest. This forced the men froze in place, and they looked at each other at a friend, suddenly alert and panicked. Antonella, however, suddenly felt a rush confidence and a small spark of hope. She knew those howls. She knew that means this sound. The men waited a few moments, expecting the noise to repeat itself, but nothing couldn't be heard. They turned their attention again at the girl lying on the ground and began to approach towards her with an angry look in his eyes. But suddenly, there was a loud rustling sound, and two wolves, Romulus and Remus. They came between Antonella and those who attacked her, bared their teeth, furiously growling at them and swinging its paws at the men. Two wolves saw Antonella being kidnapped from treehouse windows. They escaped from their home, tracked down their owner and kidnappers in the forest, and rushed to protect the one who was looking after them since they were puppies. Antonella. I've never felt more security than at that moment. The attackers, on the other hand, they were clearly frightened. They all ran away in different directions, and the wolves playfully chased after them, stepping on them on his heels and growling as he runs. These people, not only never in my life would it have occurred to me to commit such a terrible act again, but they would not come close to the forest, fearing that these evil wolves will attack them again. The wolves then returned to Antonella, who was shocked and upset, but otherwise okay. They nuzzled her and sat snuggling to her on her lap until she got stronger so much so that she was able to get up and go back from forests home. And all this time, the two wolves remained next to her, guarding her, protecting her, and keeping an eye on her behind her, just like Antonella did it for them. Now it's up to you. What do you think about this incredible story? Could you please look after two wild wolf cubs? How would you feel if they had come to your aid as they did with Antonella? As always, we welcome your feedback, so don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below.